I've spent the last week coming up with a list of some of the best budget roguelikes. I've sifted through a variety of titles, focusing on those that seemed the most promising and offered something unique, and I tried to keep to titles that I think have flown under the radar. Many of these games are oldies but goodies, with a couple newer titles sprinkled in there. I'm really looking forward to sharing these with you today, and if any of them catch your eye, I'll have links in the description so you can check them out for yourself. Now, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Kicking off our list, we have Downwell, developed by Moppin and released in 2015. This gem is priced at a mere $2.99 USD, but if you catch it on sale, you can snag it for less than $1. I absolutely love its retro 2-bit pixel art aesthetic. Though it may look simple, it's a lot of fun and can be incredibly challenging. Now, as I've mentioned before, many times, I am terrible at platformers, and Downwell is very much a platformer, and a precision platformer at that. I'm not sure if I've ever been this bad at a game, but despite that, I really enjoy this one. It's deceptively simple. Your runs involve falling endlessly down a well, killing enemies, and avoiding obstacles. While that might not sound too hard, trust me, it is. You'll collect upgrades from shops to enhance your badass boot gun things, gain extra hit points, and pick up various other buffs. What really sets Downwell apart is its unique gun boots mechanic. You can shoot downwards to take out enemies, break terrain, and control your descent, but your ammo is limited, recharging only when you land. This adds a strategic layer to every run. You're constantly balancing between attacking and finding a safe spot to recharge. There's also a mechanic in the game called Gem High that rewards you for going fast. So the faster and more precise you are, the more currency you earn, which is a very interesting risk-reward mechanic. While it may not have a direct impact on the game itself, you can also unlock new highlight colors that change all of the red on the screen with a different color, which I thought was a very interesting and fun touch. The sound design is another highlight. The crisp, retro sound effects and fast-paced music really immerse you in the action. And if you're like me, someone who isn't naturally good at platformers, you'll appreciate the sense of achievement when you finally nail a challenging section. While it may be almost a decade old at this point, the quick, fast-paced runs and very polished game design make it well worth the $3 that they're asking for at full price. Downwell is sitting at a 97% overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam, with over 7,000 reviews. I'd say this is well deserved considering how much value you're getting with this one. Alright, next up on our list is a newer release that came out in October of last year, and that game is Talented by Turtle Fox Games. Once again, this game is priced at a very reasonable $3.99 USD full price and as low as $2.99 on sale. There's definitely a minimal style to this one as well, but it looks absolutely fantastic. It has a style that harkens back to the Game Boy Advance era that I think they have nailed. You play as one of 6 classes and are set in the center of an arena, and you have to fend off waves of enemies by rotating your character between the 4 lanes while managing your abilities. One of the main selling points for this lovely little gem is it has an absolutely massive talent tree, and each of the nodes are randomized every run, making each run different from the next. While it may look relatively simple, there are 25 mastery levels for you to conquer that increase the game's difficulty level significantly. This is one of those games that you can turn on, sit back, relax, and just have a good time. It may be a bit slow paced at first, but the further you get into the run, the more intentional you'll have to be managing the ceaseless onslaught of baddies. I tried not to include very many survivor likes on this list because of how saturated and cheap the genre has become, but I definitely think this one has earned its spot on this list and is more than worth the $4 they are asking for. It is currently in early access, and they have been consistently adding new content to the game and have a full roadmap of updates planned for the future. Talented is sitting at a 93% very positive review score on Steam with only 448 reviews, which I think is absolutely criminal considering the depth and value of this game. Number 3 on this list is also a new release that launched into early access in April of this year, Against Great Darkness by HitReg Studios. With a price tag of $6.99 USD, and if you can catch it on sale, $5.59, it is definitely a steal. Against Great Darkness is a blend of the bullet hell, brick breaker, and roguelike genres with an absolutely fantastic art style that caught my attention the moment I laid eyes on it. This is one that I personally have not played, but I can tell you this much, it's going on my wish list for sure. At the beginning of your run, you'll select from a variety of pagan gods and attempt to escape from the clutches of Lucifer as you ascend through hell. In each run, you'll acquire relics that will assist you in your escape. One of the unique mechanics here is that as you juggle the discs, you'll proc different abilities. This incentivizes you to juggle discs and punishes you for dropping them without you taking damage like you would in a traditional brick breaker. Sounds easy, right? Not quite, because while you are attempting to juggle the discs, you'll have to dodge all of the enemy's bullets. These mechanics combined makes for a very fast-paced, reactionary style of game that I could see myself playing for hours on end. While this game may be in early access right now, it looks very promising and the price tag is definitely fair. Against Great Darkness is currently sitting at 95% very positive review score on Steam with 165 reviews, which I think might qualify this one as a potential hidden gem. This is a game that I'll be picking up at some point for sure, and it should definitely be on your radar as well. Alright, this next one's for you strategy lovers out there. Slice and Dice by Tan was released earlier this year in March. You can buy it right now for $8.99 USD, but the best part is it has a demo on Steam and mobile that you can try before you ever spend a dime. Much like Slay the Spire, Slice and Dice is deceptively simple on the surface, but requires you to really strategize in order to be successful. The game has a very minimal aesthetic, it has a really nice pixel art vibe, and the 3D animations for the dice rolling is a great touch. The UI is relatively simplistic, with your party of 5 heroes displayed on the left, a space in the center for you to roll your dice, and the enemy on the right. The sound design is really great with a good blend of retro sound effects and great classic dungeon music. At the beginning of a run, you'll start with a party of 5, and you'll be able to swap them out with hero rewards from fights. Also, as a result from those fights, you'll be able to customize each hero's die. When combat occurs, you'll roll your party's dice and then assign the actions rolled to either allies or enemies and attempt to roll your way to victory. There's an absolutely massive amount of content and replayability available here if you enjoy this sort of game. The Steam page is sitting at a 96% overwhelmingly positive review score with only 1,300 reviews, which I think is insane based on the quality alone. I personally gave it a try on my phone not too long ago and it was honestly really enjoyable. I probably would have picked it up sooner if I wasn't so enamored with Slay the Spire at the moment. I currently have it sitting in my cart on Steam and will likely purchase it after I'm done with this video, and I think you should too. Next up, we have a not so tiny roguelike, Tiny Rogues by RubyDev. The game technically released back in 2022, but the developer put out a Heaven and Hell update this year that added an incredible amount of variety and really overhauled the gameplay loop. You can pick this one up for $9.99, or if you're lucky and can catch it on sale, you can snag it for $4.99. Like most of the games on this list, there's more than meets the eye here. It has a wonderful retro pixel art aesthetic with a CRTV effect, which is just the cherry on top. Tiny Rogues at its core is a bullet hell dungeon crawler with an absolutely insane amount of build diversity that rivals even some of the best roguelikes out there. There are 500 different equipment items in the game, which you will be managing and combining with the weapons throughout the course of a run to find that perfect, awe-inspiring build that will have you mowing down enemies at blinding speeds. Speaking of weapons, there are 400 different weapons, with a little something here for every playstyle. There are also a bunch of different bosses and floors, and 34 different character classes that each have their own stats and specialties. The game has an interesting meta progression system with an actual talent tree where you can select perks that will help you progress through each run. You'll traverse across various floors throughout a run, dodging around and attempting to stay alive by killing the enemies before they kill you. You'll encounter various rooms like shops, secret rooms, taverns, and so on. I can say without a doubt that this is one of those games where you're getting an insane amount of bang for your buck. You can easily sink hundreds of hours into this game and still be finding new combos and builds, and that is what many people on Steam have done. This one is boasting a 97% overwhelmingly positive review score with nearly 8,000 reviews on record. As we begin to round off this list, we are getting into the two more expensive games that I included here. The first of which is Dungreed by Team Hooray, released back in 2018. If you pick this one up right now, you'd be looking at $9.99. However, if you can catch it on sale, it goes for as low as $6.99. Yet another pixel art roguelike. This one very heavily inspired by Rogue Legacy and has a very charming pixel art style that I absolutely love. And as someone that has dabbled in pixel art myself, I can say that a lot of the sprites and UI are absolutely incredible and definitely give it a unique flavor. Dungreed will have you diving into dungeons over and over again to help protect the town that you are attempting to restore. There's a lot of weapon variety, a fairly lengthy meta progression system, and some platforming action combat that will keep you on your toes. Many of the weapons have really juicy animations that make them very satisfying, and while it is very clearly a fantasy setting, you won't be limited to your typical swords and wands. If an M16 assault rifle is what your heart desires, an M16 you shall find. You can purchase delicious food to buff your character, and as I mentioned earlier, your runs will give you the resources needed to rebuild the town, providing you with various means to upgrade your character before you delve back into the dungeon. Sometimes a good dungeon crawler is all you need, and Dungreed is just that. I know personally I can get lost in games like these forever, just grinding dungeons over and over again. It is one of the few things that brings me pure joy. Dungreed may be a bit on the older side, but it is sitting at a 93% very positive review score with over 8,000 reviews and is definitely one that would be worth picking up. Alright, the last game on our list is going to be Zet Zillions by, and I'm gonna butcher this, Oda Imon Studios. It also happens to be the newest game on the list and was released in May of this year. Currently you can pick it up for $9.99, and according to SteamDB, it has yet to go on sale, so there is no sale pricing to reference yet, but watch closely as it could potentially go on sale for the autumn sale on Steam. Zet Zillions is a very stylized, story-driven deck-building roguelike where you play as Foam Gun and her planet ship Baby Violence. Yeah, you heard that right. Don't ask questions, I didn't come up with it. As with most of the games in the deck building genre, you can certainly see the Slay the Spire influence, but this is not just some Slay the Spire clone either. One of the really interesting mechanics that Zet Zillions is utilizing is the fusion system, where you're able to combine your cards to create new and spectacular effects, most of the time. Currently, there are more than 100 card combinations available, even if some of them may not go so well together. I think that it is really interesting that combining your cards may not always result in simply increasing your power. It could also give you a negative combination that may not be very effective. That gives the game a lot of interesting organic discovery that a lot of games don't necessarily manage to accomplish. It's pretty obvious when looking at this game that one of its major selling points is definitely the art style. They did an absolutely fantastic job with the stylized art direction, and it really makes it look and feel unique, even if some of the designs are on the weirder side. The sound design is really good, and the developers are still actively updating the game with a pretty large update that happened about 2 weeks ago. They are listening to community feedback and are actively trying to improve the game. I think with the amazing foundation here and the really stylized design, this is one that could be a lot of fun both now and in the future with further content updates. Currently, Zet Zillions is sitting at a 90% very positive review score on Steam with only 369 reviews, which I think is a shame, and I'm hoping these developers can continue to build on this gem and see even greater success. That does it for this one. I'm sure there are some hidden gems that I missed, so if you know of any, hit me with a recommendation. I always love finding new and fun roguelikes to play. If you did enjoy the video, leaving a like and subscribing to the channel would go a long way in helping to grow our community. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.